From the broadcast center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2:30 newscast. Burnaby RCMP are receiving a mental health car program after requesting one 6 years ago. The idea is that a police car will have a psychiatric nurse attend calls with police officers. According to the Burnaby RCMP, the team will work from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Their main objective is responding reactively to calls regarding a mental health or substance use crisis. Victoria Police issued a danger warning for those living in the downtown core today. A full-grown cougar was spotted roaming around the city around 7 a.m. this morning and remains on the loose. The cougar was spotted near Jutland Road and Dunedin Street near the Victoria waterfront and downtown core. The police are urging people that if they see the animal not to approach it and to alert authorities as soon as possible. The food pantry at the BCIT Student Association is running a food drive campaign to encourage more donations. Our reporter Sean Park has more on some of their initiatives.
The BCIT Student Association is running a campaign that actively encourages students and faculty members to donate to their ongoing food drive. The donation box to help out the food drive is in the lobby behind the BCIT Essays Information Help Desk. They say the visit to the food pantry have more than doubled since 2022 and are open to receiving both monetary and any kind of food with a long shelf life without refrigeration. They plan to collect non-perishable food donations such as canned beans until December 15. Sean Park, 1680, The Crow.
Burnaby currently has the second highest average rent for a one-person bedroom suite in Canada, according to rentals.com.ca's annual rent report. The jump is 16% higher from last year's report and is one of the highest jumps in the country. The average price for a one-bedroom suite in Burnaby as of last month was $2,647 per month, the second highest behind Vancouver. At least 10 people are dead after an illegal gold mine collapsed on Monday in Suriname, authorities say. Charles De Ledesma of the Associate Press reports.
Rescue crews have been combing through mounds of earth in hopes of finding survivors as the government launches an investigation into the deadly incident that occurred on Monday in the country's remote southern region. It's considered the South American country's worst mining accident. President Chan Santoki says the incident occurred in an area where a gold vein was previously discovered, attracting large groups of illegal miners. Zhejiang Mining, a company that operates a legal gold mine in the area, had been meeting with the government just hours before the incident to find solutions to illegal mining at the concession of its subsidiary Rosebel Gold Mines NV. I'm Charles De Ledesma.
Suriname is known for its gold mines, with United States and Canadian companies heavily invested in these operations. Illegal gold mining has also increased in recent years, according to the Associate Press. A spokesperson for Hamas announced yesterday that they are willing to trade Israeli hostages for more aid and Palestinian hostages. The discussion of an exchange for hostages has been discussed for well over a month now, but officials say it may be becoming a reality soon. Andy Field of ABC News has the latest update on the situation.
Hamas would trade hostages for Palestinians held in Israeli prisons, but State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says those inside Gaza might receive much more.
An agreement on hostages would release or would unlock the potential for delivery of more humanitarian assistance.
But the State Department says they do not have to link that aid to releasing hostages. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
The legendary Rolling Stones have just announced their North American tour. The band has announced 16 total dates so far for the 2024 tour, but Vancouver is the only Canadian city so far on the schedule. The concert will take place on July 5th at BC Place. Now time for weather. The forecast today consists of mostly cloud until around 5 o'clock. After that, we can expect rain until just before midnight. That's all for today. Thanks for listening. I'm Kevin Pontius.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
We respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations.
Ready, on your toes.
Good save.
Growing up, like native tournaments was like a big thing for my parents, and they're the ones that showed me how to play soccer.
As much as Penelope Sparrow is on track to reaching new levels of professional soccer, she does not forget where it all came from.
And they'd bring me around until I got to a point where I was 4 years old, and we put on a pair of cleats and started playing. And I'd be there right by their side, learning with them. And that's kind of where I started. And it just kept going on. I got put in a couple leagues growing up, and I just grew to love it. I was about 13, and that's when I knew I truly loved the sport. Like, it was more than just kicking the ball, like you said. It was more of like a family, us together.
So to welcome you to our territory, which is known as UBC, which is known as Vancouver.
For Thompson Nelson, it's important for him to reflect on his roots while mentoring the next generation of Indigenous athletes.
It was just built into our family. And so from the time I could walk, my dad was throwing a soccer ball at me and just go out and have fun. And he was a traveling kind of traditional artist, merchant salesman. So we'd go to all the soccer tournaments across Vancouver Island, as well as over here on the mainland in the Indigenous circuit. So I just grew up around watching it, playing it, and just watching every aspect of it. And so I really fell in love with it, and every morning I'd go and just watch with him.
Both Thompson and Penelope are currently working with Hope and Health, coaching the younger generation at the UBC Thunderbird Stadium.
Hope and Health is a sport for social impact organization that works specifically with Indigenous children and youth and their communities to develop life and leadership skills. It's about creating a program that's accessible within Indigenous communities. As a result of colonization, programs haven't been accessible, nor have they been created that are culturally safe for Indigenous children and youth. So we wanted to close that gap. We really have been working on creating the pathway from those young, talented athletes that aspire to go pro or play to an elite level as high as they can go. When we had the opportunity to consider to take ownership over the League One BC Varsity FC team, it just made total sense that that would allow us to create that piece, which is the semi-professional, high-performance level, so then we can work with our communities as young as 3, 5 as little champions, all the way through their journey to Natsama FC.
Varsity FC was run by UBC Athletics, but Hope and Health purchased the rights and has rebranded as Natsama FC. Perhaps due to a lack of representation, many Indigenous athletes struggle on their journeys, often giving up.
So we're on the Musqueam field, where I grew up to love soccer. I always feel safe here, comfortable. I know when I've had a long day or a hard day, I try to do other things like art, track, all the other sports, but soccer was always something that I couldn't live without. When they think of soccer, they don't think of us, and obviously that's very hard because growing up, that was my FIFA. Going to tournaments, watching it, it was my FIFA. Like, that was my World Cups. Watching them play, it was like other players I couldn't see in TV. And the kind of passion and like support we have, it should be noticed. You don't see any native players, obviously. And it was just a battle. It's just like, am I trying, like, am I doing enough? Am I gonna achieve anything? Like, I didn't see anybody like me. So it was obviously really tough. It's just like, am I there for nothing? Am I doing this all for nothing? Like, there's nobody, I had nobody to like look up to.
One significant kind of moment for me was in high school. I was about 14, and I wasn't, like I said, I was a late bloomer. I was a bit out of shape, I guess, plumper than some of the other boys. And we had these fitness tests to introduce us into the high performance leagues, like for example, like Natsama and like UVic, Union Upton University. And I failed this fitness test. I guess not failed, but I just didn't do well. So that was really significant for me because I was bullied for that, and I felt pretty bad. So then I did that for a year, and then I came back the next year and nobody recognized me. I slimmed out, I got better. People thought I was an exchange student until I said my name. And then I came back and did that same fitness test, and I was in the top 2. I got like level 12 or something. But I think one of the lowest points, it's not a low point, but something you just kind of live with was, like I said, my dad passed away when I was 7. And then he was one of my biggest role models. And I'm thankful for my uncle taking over and like raising me as one of his own too. But like not having that male figure to really be like, good job, son, or like, you know, like, saying like, good job, son, or like everybody had their dads there. And me, after I finished a game, I'd just look into the stands and sometimes I'd have family, sometimes I wouldn't, and then it'd be like kind of like a little, you sit in the change room, you give yourself like a little self vibe, or like, and sometimes it's just nice to have that outer, I don't know, just a little nudge like, hey, you're doing well, just you're on the right path kind of thing. Because sometimes you just don't know, you get lost along the way, and sometimes you need that little push. But I'm grateful for everybody in my life and who have brought me and raised me to bring me to this opportunity. But in essence of barriers, like there definitely is barriers out there. And it can be a struggle, but you just gotta be proud, like don't fall into negativity. Like if somebody has something bad to say about you, just brush it off and just keep moving forward in a positive way. Because as an Indigenous youth, like we're representing our community, not just ourselves. Like it takes a village to raise a child. Like for me as an example, I had uncles, aunties, coaches, a plethora of people that like help support me. And it really shows like growth and development. And you're just there to represent your people to the best of your abilities and just make whoever proud and yourself proud, more importantly, and then just walk in a good way.
I was sitting in bed, not doing nothing, and then I got the call from Jesse. I was just amazed. It felt like my dreams were coming true. My journey was it felt like it was just a fresh start. Like, I was excited. I couldn't even think. I was speechless. When I was talking to him, I didn't even know what I said. I blacked out. Like, it was just, I was like, oh my God. Like, I already know what this is gonna bring, and I'm so excited. Like, I can't even express the emotions.
And when I found out, I was like, okay, this is something cool. This is a big step. Like, let's just go and take the plunge, see what happens. So I came here, and the group was very welcoming, and it was just nice to be in just such a high level. And right away, you could notice the jump. It was faster, people were smarter, the play was just intense. But I loved every minute of it, and I loved seeing if I can rise to the challenge. Oh, what a finish, all right. And when I got that call to come back for more tryouts, and then that final assessment that I made the squad, it was over the moon. I didn't really know how to like react. I was on the ferry trying not to like laugh out loud, or I have this like big smirk because I was sitting next to people I didn't know, and I was like, I had to go outside and just like take a breath of fresh air. But it was just awesome, just because just for a moment of like, that's it, this is a big moment just to like prove Indigenous players have capabilities and opportunities to show talent, because there's a lot that fall through the cracks that just don't get that opportunity. And sometimes all you just need is that one, or even that one person that believes in you. And I'm hoping this platform of Natsuma, and even me just being here, will show other Indigenous youth and other players that you can do it. You just dedication, hard work, and lots of just faith, and just reaching out to like putting yourself out there, and not being afraid of like the racial barriers or like people doubting you that you can't do it.
For sure. Nice dribbling. Almost. We have them wide. We've been hidden for a long time, overlooked. We don't really get noticed like this, and such an opportunity like this, I can't hold back, express how I play, show how I play. Like, playing with like First Nations, it's a different game. Like,
To date, Notsamont FC has signed 11 Indigenous players across the men's and women's teams, including 5 Indigenous assistant coaches. Their inaugural season begins April 29th at Swangard Stadium.
One, two, three.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, you're listening to 1680 The Crow. I'm Caitlin O, and here's your 3 p.m. news. The Metro Vancouver locked out Rogers Communications workers ratified their 5-year contract. Nearly 300 Rogers Communications workers have voted strongly in favor of a new contract. This ends a company lockout that began 2 weeks ago. The United Steel Workers Union says its members voted 96% in favor of ratifying the tentative agreement. The union says the new 5-year contract has a 14.25% wage increase, retroactive pay, and a $1,000 signing bonus. It will also protect against automation and layoffs. Technicians are due back to work tomorrow. BCIT Security Management says there is a man going around the Burnaby campus asking for a suspicious e-transfer. Our reporter Sean Park shares how students feel about the situation.
BCIT Safety and Security Office has alerted students around campus about a suspicious man asking to e-transfer a check. The man allegedly needed to deposit a check to pay his rent, but his phone was dead. Jalen Vokat, a BCIT marketing student, says it's a bit scary hearing about the notice, but says there are ways to protect themselves.
There's also the BCIT app, like SafetyWise app that you can use. So you can call these like campus security and they can like walk you to your car, walk you to the bus stop.
On the Learning Hub website, the BCIT Safety and Security Office reached out, informing students to report to their office if a suspicious man approaches them. Sean Park, 1680 The Crow.
Sean now joins us in studio. So, Sean, how are the students feeling about the situation, and did they see it on the Learning Hub?
Yeah, so a couple of them saw a notice on the Learning Hub, but a lot of them seemed like they haven't noticed what was going on. When I was interviewing them, some of them felt a little bit worried and they were getting a little bit concerned, while the other half of them felt a little bit calm and they're not too worried because they knew that BCIT will do their best to take care of this incident.
And did campus security have any updates on the alleged e-transfer?
My partner Liam Higgs and I reached out to their office, but given the time frame, they could not get back to us on time. But they did advise us not to e-transfer the money to a allegedly suspicious man, and just if you see anyone suspicious, just report it to their office or leave an anonymous tip at 604-454-2222. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Christopher Nolan's recent film Oppenheimer comes out on Blu-ray today and is currently not available on streaming services. The director made comments recently that would be a sign that physical media is coming a comeback. Our reporter Jerson Orashan discusses this with film YouTuber Daisuke Beppu.
According to Variety, Nolan at a screening encouraged everyone to buy the Blu-ray of Oppenheimer so that no streaming service can take it away from you and put a lot of effort into its release. As films are either leaving, moving, or removed and never seen again in streaming services, people are coming back to Blu-rays despite not a lot of major retailers like Best Buy selling them. Daisuke Beppu is a YouTuber currently living in Los Angeles who specializes in film.
If you can watch it again and again, then I think the price of it will be totally worth it to you.
He also says that Blu-ray labels, including the Criterion Collection, Arrow Video, Radiance Films, and Vinegar Syndrome, still create an appetite for physical media. Jerison Rashawn, 1680, The Crow.
And Jerison will have more on the story on For the Record today at 3:15. Surrey Memorial Hospital was forced to move some patients after a unit was flooded yesterday evening. Fraser Health says in a social media post that patients were moved to an alternate space to allow the damage to be assessed. The cause of the flood and the number of patients moved is unclear at this time. The Burnaby RCMP is getting a mental health car after 6 years of advocating for one. The mental health car program will have a psychiatric nurse attending calls with officers. The detachment first started lobbying for this program since 2017 amid a rise in mental health calls in the city. Surrey RCMP already have a similar program, the CAR 67 program, which pairs police officers with a Fraser Health mental health nurse. The program has been in place since 2000. The Burnaby Mobile Integrated Crisis Response Team has a $248,000 in funding for a Fraser Health mental health nurse. A new 988 crisis line will launch across Canada next week. Chimo Community Services in Richmond is among more than 40 networks taking part of the new nationwide crisis line. The $156 million project is dedicated to suicide and mental health crisis prevention. Starting November 30th, volunteers at Chimo Community Service and volunteers across Canada will be taking calls and texts for the new helpline. The crisis line will have a trauma-informed and culturally appropriate suicide prevention service. Those who dial the line will be connected to trained responders close to them in their communities. The Canadian government will be investing the $156 million over 3 years to implement the helpline. Victoria police are warning pedestrians of a cougar roaming around near downtown. Police are telling people to avoid the downtown area after the animal was spotted near the 400 block of Dundon Street this morning. Conservation officers' service has been contacted to address the cougar. Andrea Wallace, the Wild Animal Welfare Manager at BCSPCA, says a cougar sighting is a rare event. Wallace reminds residents to secure garbage, compost, and to keep pets indoors to avoid attracting the cougar to their yards. Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland delivered a fall economic statement this afternoon. The fiscal update includes billions of dollars in spending for increasing Canada's housing supply and affordable housing. The projected deficit is higher than expected for the next 5 years. The deficit will be $40 billion in 2023 to 2024. Freeland's statement suggests that Canada will avoid a recession, but predicts that economic growth will slow down. Rock and roll icons, the Rolling Stones, are coming to Vancouver. It will be the band's only stop in Canada, and they will be playing at BC Place on Friday, July 5th next year. Tickets go on sale on December 1st. Canada Post is preparing for another busy holiday season with Black Friday sales throughout this week. Lisa Liu, a Canada Post spokesperson, says they will be adding more staff, vehicles, and aircraft for this holiday season. The courier also added a new parcel processing capacity in Toronto, which will impact people and businesses across Canada. A majority of Canada's parcels originate from the Greater Toronto Area. And a new study in the U.S. confirmed that southeastern British Columbia coal mines are contaminating water shared by Canada and the U.S. Miners' attempts to remove the selenium from wastewater aren't making much of a difference to the amount flowing south. Selenium is found in coal deposits and is toxic to fish. Meryl Storb from the United States Geological Survey says the contaminant is flowing from steel-making coal mines in the Elk Valley. Storb says the Kootenay River has a tenth of the amount of selenium levels than the Elk River. She says that the levels in the Elk River consistently exceed both BC and Canadian environmental protection standards. And the Vancouver Bandits have been offering basketball coaching to schools around Metro Vancouver. With what they hope to accomplish, here's our reporter Nathan Maley.
BC's only pro basketball club has been doing their part to share their knowledge of the game on the younger generation. Head coach Kyle Julius has been moving around the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley area, going to middle and high schools to coach basketball teams. Bandits president Dylan Coular says the feedback has been nothing but positive so far, and they wish to give students hopeful of playing post-secondary basketball some voices to guide them.
For a lot of these players who are facing their own adversities, whether it's on a pathway to try to play university basketball or elsewise, our players and our head coach are able to provide some real-life examples.
Julius has visited over 30 schools so far, with plans to continue to visit more. Nathan Maley, 1680 The Crow.
Now to other sports news, there will be 2 new inductees to the Richmond Sporting Wall of Fame. Lacrosse and wheelchair basketball coach Trish Nicholson and champions U14 Olden Pirates girls soccer team of 1986 will be inducted at the ceremony next Monday during the City Council meeting. Nicholson and the Olden Pirates girls soccer team are the 6th additions of the inductees to the Sports Wall of Fame. The Wall of Fame was established in 2015 and celebrates the history of sports in Richmond. It is also a hub for the community to recognize individual and team achievements. The Canucks will be playing against Colorado Avalanche tomorrow night. The 2 teams will hit the ice in Western Conference play in Denver at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Colorado has an 11-6 record overall and a 5-2-0 record on its home ice. The matchup tomorrow is the first meeting this season between the 2 teams. American teams are requesting for home games this weekend in light of it being American Thanksgiving. New York Knicks owner James Dolan resigned from his community positions on the NBA's Board of Governors. His resignation comes amid the Toronto Raptors lawsuit. The lawsuit filed against the Raptors in August claims that former Knicks assistant video coordinator Ike Azotam sent the Raptors thousands of confidential files. These files included scouting videos, play frequency reports, and other information. Dolan also resigned from the league's advisory, finance, and media committees. The Toronto Raptors will be playing their second game of the NBA's first ever in-season tournament tonight. The winner will receive an inaugural NBA Cup, and every player on the winning team will receive $500,000. The Raptors are the only team in NBA to have only played 1 game so far in the NBA's new tournament. The game tonight will begin against the Orlando Magic at 4 p.m. And the Montreal Alouettes are holding a Grey Cup parade tomorrow. The parade will begin at 11:30 a.m. on Maisonneuve Boulevard. It's the Alouettes' first Grey Cup victory since 2010. They won against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the CFL Championship game on Sunday. And now for the weather, it's 10 degrees in Burnaby right now with a low of 2 degrees overnight. For the rest of the week, it will be dry with a high of 9 degrees tomorrow. Then on the weekend, it will be sunny with a high of 8 degrees. That was your 3 p.m. news. I'm Kate Leno, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Jerson Rashun. With 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, Daisuke Beppu covers releases by the Criterion Collection and does discussions on film history, making him one of the places to go to learn about the film. He begins his videos with greetings from Tokyo, though it is different now because he recently moved to Los Angeles. In the age of streaming, Daisuke joins me to talk about physical media and the success of his channel. So Daisuke, I know in your channel you talk a lot about film, reviewing in-depth releases by the Criterion Collection, and also you also kind of do like discussions on films through the many series you do on your channel, and at times you also do some impersonations of like various like actors and directors. So what makes your channel successful?
Well, first of all, it's just it's a fun time, and also for me to try to express myself in terms of this thing which I really, really enjoy, which is cinema. And also, if I were to speak in terms of success, I would say that the success would be in being able for me to meet people through the YouTube platform, through comment section, through meeting people like yourself or like others. So in terms of the success in that way, I mean, if one marks success as maybe meeting a new friend, meeting a new acquaintance in the world, whether it's be across YouTube or even in person, yeah, I consider myself very, very fortunate indeed. So I look at it in those terms, I think.
Yeah, so as you probably know, the Criterion Collection is pretty much like film school in a box, and they release films, not just some well-known films, but also films from around the world that you may not know, but you could probably discover when you watch these films. Plus, with special features that kind of makes you appreciate the film more, and the packaging too kind of enhances the experience. So, I know you probably have a large collection of films from the Criterion Collection, possibly every film they release. Is it an accomplishment for you to try to get every film that's released by the Criterion Collection?
Perhaps it could be seen as accomplishment, sure, in terms of because it's a very vast number of titles. Definitely, yes. And it's this idea of collecting and physical media is a very important aspect of film watching and media consumption, etc. Very important. I suppose for me, I always look at it personally anyway, as a means by which I can continue on with my own cinema journey and watching movies. When I was very young, many years ago, I mean, there are these things which were like you would mail in a coupon or something, and then this company would send you videotapes like once a month, or a book club. You'd get a monthly selection of books. And that would be the company's recommendations for the week. So that type of recommendation, I see my interaction with the product of the Criterion Collection to be in a similar vein. I look at it as their selection of titles for a particular month, and it's a kind of curated list from my view. And for me, it's Criterion. I suppose maybe for others it could be other labels, other titles. Maybe the new lineup on, say, the Netflix streaming services or Hulu or whatever the case may be for one's particular tastes and needs as a consumer and as film and one's own film tastes. But for me, that's how I look at it. So in terms of collecting, it's very fun and exciting. I think primarily it's a kind of a curated film journey for me.
I know last summer you moved to Los Angeles because you're from Tokyo because of your job. And I know when you announced this on your channels, not only it was a big deal, but also it was very exciting. And like, you probably so far have fun time there. So how is Los Angeles so far?
Oh, thank you very much for asking. Yes, I moved. I was living in Tokyo for many years, and then due to certain job-related circumstances, I moved with my family to Los Angeles, and we've been living here for about a few months. It's been very exciting. I admit it's been somewhat busy with moving in details and the like, so I haven't been able to visit all the film sites and movie theaters that I would like, but maybe as things get a little bit more calmer, I might be able to find some time to do so. Maybe just a little bit. You know, we live in a certain area, which means it's a little bit of a distance to drive by car, so it's not the it does take a little bit of a time commitment, so I haven't been able to do that. But overall, it's been really exciting. A new environment, Los Angeles, the area, being able to access these titles and talk to people closer in the sort of film communities, movie theaters. As I mentioned, I have been able to go to a couple of movie theater showings, so it's been overall a really exciting experience. I visited a place called the New Beverly Cinema, which was the first theater I visited when I moved here, and we saw I saw some Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. It was a really fantastic experience.
With the situation of happening with streaming, I mean, like, this might lead to people probably coming back to physical media. Do you think physical media is making a comeback?
What I can say is I do hear things in the news about, say, physical media maybe receding. Maybe certain stores might be not selling physical media anymore, or maybe there might be some decrease in stock and offerings of these. But in terms of my own local vicinity and my own, say, shopping habits, I don't see any type of receding of the availability of physical media. It seems like the channels available or the opportunities available for purchase are still there, and those channels seem to be quite vibrant indeed. And if I were to say in the opposite way, I do hear news about the emergence of new labels, up-and-coming labels that are actually doing very well. Really exciting titles. Yes, exactly. Radiance, and then going from even just from a few years ago, starting with places like Powerhouse Indicator, and then the emergence of great titles like Vinegar Syndrome, and then Severin, etc. And now 101. Arrow's been there. Arrow's been there now. I mean, Arrow. I remember when Arrow was quote unquote the new kid on the block, but now it's a real big player, and it's really huge. So that is an indication to me of more emerging labels seem also to suggest the opposite, meaning, as you indicated, or as you suggest, there is a really still a great and healthy appetite for physical media titles.
Daisuke, and finally, what advice would you kind of give to someone that is new to getting Blu-rays?
I mean, there's so many out there, absolutely so many out there, and even of the same title. One film might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 releases, deluxe releases depending on the store, some exclusive from this store or a steelbook from that store, etc. And sometimes it might seem a little bit overwhelming. What to get or what not to get. I would say very simply, start with a film that you really enjoy, something that you enjoy, and as a Blu-ray or something, or a DVD disc, or even if it's a used VHS tape, which I also very much support and I really appreciate and love. I have my own VHS titles myself, but if it's a physical media title, for me anyway, it's always been a film that I can watch again and again. Maybe, I don't watch it all the time constantly, but it's something I put in a player, I watch, and maybe if I'm in the mood, I can put it and watch it again a week later, a month later or something, and still get so much out of it. So if it's a film like that, for you, if you can watch it again and again, then I think the price of it will be totally worth it to you. And then on top of that, if you're looking for the specific version and the like, there are so many sites now. There are so many great places to look online for this research, whether it be reviews on, say, online retailers, or maybe specialty sites regarding Blu-ray releases, or YouTube channels, much better than mine, for example. So yes, exactly. So, or Blu-ray.com or things like that. So and forums and the like. So there's always this discussion about which version is better or filled with more details and appropriate, etc. But that's also a subjective viewpoint as well. So that makes it more exciting. The choices I think is quite voluminous, which I think is very exciting. So ultimately, at the end of the day, always think about a film that you really enjoy and feel like you can watch over and over again. If that's the case, then whatever you get, it'll definitely be worth it.
Daisuke, keep watching great movies. Daisuke, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this invite. Warmest regards. Thank you very much.
That is Daisuke Beppu, film YouTuber. And that is For the Record, produced by BCIT's Broadcast Online Journalism program. I'm Jared Marchand. Thanks for listening.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 3:30 Sportscast. The Vancouver Bandits have been offering basketball coaching to schools around Metro Vancouver. With what they hope to accomplish, here's our reporter Nathan Maley.
BC's only pro basketball club has been doing their part to share their knowledge of the game on the younger generation. Head coach Kyle Julius has been moving around the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley area, going to middle and high schools to coach basketball teams. Bandits president Dylan Coular says the feedback has been nothing but positive so far, and they wish to give students hopeful of playing post-secondary basketball some voices to guide them.
For a lot of these players who are facing their own adversities, whether it's on a pathway to try to play university basketball or elsewise, our players and our head coach are able to provide some real-life examples.
Julius has visited over 30 schools so far, with plans to continue to visit more. Nathan Maley, 1680 The Crow.
The Montreal Alouettes fans have officially mapped out their parade route for the Grey Cup celebration. The Alouettes won the title in a nail-biter on Sunday versus the Blue Bombers. The parade is set to begin at 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Players, managers, and owners will all be attending the parade. Now over to hockey. Vancouver Canucks winger Niels Hoglander was given a game misconduct last night after slew-footing the Sharks' Kevin LeBlanc. The Swedish player met with the league this morning, which is mandatory after being ejected from a game. Hoglander was handed down the maximum allowable fine under the current CBA of $2,864. Over to the NBA. The Toronto Raptors are set to play in their second game of the NBA's first ever in-season tournament. The winner of the tournament receives the inaugural NBA Cup, as well as every player on the winning team a $500,000. The Raptors are the only team in the NBA to have only played one game so far in the league's new tournament. Tip-off starts tonight at 4 p.m. against the Orlando Magic. There are 5 other in-season games taking place tonight throughout the league as well. To the National Football League now, where the Kansas City Chiefs took on the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch. Kansas City was missing their chief supporter, Taylor Swift, and miss she was. Jalen Hurts led the second half rally and had some comments after the victory.
When you play a team and you lose to them any time, you know, that is what it is. But there's always a competitiveness there versus everyone we play. And so I'm just happy we found a way to come and win in this environment versus a really good team.
Baltimore Ravens fans took a huge blow losing superstar tight end Mark Andrews on Thursday night. Initially, it was reported that Andrews would miss the rest of the season, but after meeting with the NFL doctors and having surgery, Andrews may have a chance to return before the playoffs. Mark Andrews has long been Lamar Jackson's favorite target. Isaiah Likely, the second-string tight end, as well as Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. should be expecting more looks this Sunday. The Pittsburgh Steelers have decided to let offensive head coach Matt Canada go this morning. Head coach Mike Tomlin reportedly gave him a ton of leash, but had seen enough after Sunday's loss to the lowly Cleveland Browns. The move was seen as unprecedented for the club, as the Steelers have not fired a head coach in season at the coordinator level since 1941. Legendary quarterback Tom Brady went on the Stephen A. Smith Show and was not shy about what he thinks about the current state of the NFL.
Winning football games in the NFL is hard. And there's I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
He went on to comment on the softness of the new rules in the league over the past few years. Alexis Galarneau and Vasek Pospisil were eliminated from the Davis Cup earlier today by Finland. Canada are defending champions, and this is a massive upset according to the odds. Finland advances to their first Davis Cup semifinal later this week. Over to weather now. The forecast today consists of mostly cloud until around 5 o'clock, and after that we can expect rain until just before midnight. Starting Wednesday morning, we have sunshine all day, all the way through Sunday. Although it's sunny, people should be aware that the high... That's all we have for today. Thanks for listening. I'm Kevin Pontius.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.